Welcome back to part 3. 22nd November, 11:38 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicial Defendants, Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, knees knocking, and you were grinding your your teeth. It was a grim sight. Before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in testimony spaghetti. I think you might have natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, that's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of the courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your Phantom Lady at least. At last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? Might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after that, I bent down and picked it up. Bang. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot came from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet. And he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended the subject without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotaba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems that you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system, even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? Raid boss music. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma. Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, man. What, to me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA, and it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. Victor was the university professor for Great Britain and well known at that. One at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit quickly as possible. But let's not forget we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement in our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck, thank you. Now then! I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. She wished Kazuma good luck, not me. Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your way back inside of the courtroom at once. I think there's something going on there. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before these old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma. What? Thank you. Really. Thanks for everything, man. Thanks for everything. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly certain I've already been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really gonna give up on his dreams of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So that just isn't my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. An extra large portion, of course. Speaking of that, I'm getting pretty hungry. 22nd November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Courtroom 2. Oh, I can handle. I will handle as best I can. I'm also going to move the chat up there. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Achi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under a rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize, that's their job. Nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down on our nation's founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up, shut up. You jumped up, crooked boy. You and your friend know nothing of the situation that Nathan finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in the Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witnesses taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency. That's a whole swan. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly want to say your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at Le Carnival, but my true... Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today, you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yeah, your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Oh no! Oh no! I can't even read it, and it's like some of it's cursive. Yeah, shit. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? Lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in UMA University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. Huh, you'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Man, this is how people in Japan view me with the text box. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago at a restaurant called The Carnival, a murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at a university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently, it was very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment the accused, standing right there in his courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Order in the court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolute conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. This is, interesting. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Okay. Then not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. This is condemning testimony indeed. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Objection! Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and you look at the Snow White Angel. I'm sure even the dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court's going to believe. Yeah. You're still making the same mistakes, Funosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless. However, well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. That's important. So option A is this coin on her? Option B is the gun on her? As you can see, there's nowhere for about her person that she can connect a firearm. That she can conceal a firearm. I think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless, to the precise location where the witness is hidden a weapon could be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words in the matter. Ah, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Runesuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Oh, she smiled a little! The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Yeah, she learned how to speak doctor's handwriting, man. You know, that doctor's handwriting is what Japanese people see me saying when I speak English. Oh yes, Your Excellency. Ooh. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day.
Yes!
We need time clarification. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it?
Objection!
Objection! You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britons, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue, isn't that right? No. Huh? Decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence from earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence and this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? Professor was unable to eat, so I ordered myself only a beef steak.
Yes!
He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hoda Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so. Yes, she heard that Professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak picture here. Is that correct, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled such a distant land far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes. The professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. How? There's only one fucking... They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Runesuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? Present evidence. The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Humph. While sidestepped counsel. Very well. Miss Brett, kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I hope there are some more of us useful tips you're picking up from this experience in that, Ryosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Where is your cup?
Yes!
That's it! I love the expressions on this guy. So, let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct. The lady said it. Well, it's odd. Very odd. What's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Arunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers. Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over a minute? What's the possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make in this case? Minute, you say. Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal this lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. I think she knows Japanese, man. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that's happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I've been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Sorry. Holy fuck. There, as I assumed the court before, there's no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that the student had just murdered the lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? Do we take it now you're going to accuse this vulnerable, young, and beautiful woman of mischief? No, this can't be put down as mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch, commonly carried by the well-to-do women of England. So the beautiful lady has very gracefully explained how and why she removed the glass in the scene now. Moreover, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end, it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further... You're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. There's a deeper significance there. It's the handbag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlemen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated that the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that, too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It is really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. And as he didn't fire the gun we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting. Inspector Hosonoga. Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. Order, order, order. What is the meaning of this, Inspector? Why on earth did you not have a lady open her handbag to show you the contents at the time? Thanks for your bulging incompetence, and now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Ahem, ahem. It's coughing. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search a lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. The photographic print. We got something extra here. The print of the photograph I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like this are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search a lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Oh! Ouch. I feel ya, bro. Order, order. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. Photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. I think you've had it long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. Yeah, his right hand touched a plate and it somehow burned him or left a print? He must have been there for quite a while, holding his right hand on the dinner. Why aren't his hands dirty? Like, actually, why aren't they? If he was truly holding his hand where it was, on a plate, would have had to hold it on his right hand, literally over the steak, or holding a knife in his right hand. So he had to be holding a weapon. Over here we have a flower and we have a chain handbag. Scuttle with chains. We have the dinner plate, which is very unique, on the right side. So why was he eating? We got no print here, anything related to that. That had nothing to do with it. Yeah, we're going to keep going on and see if we can't. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photograph print just submitted to the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter. If I must make my ruling, indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over on the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was from the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Brunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but in the weak arm meet, while a strong cat. And you are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. In fact, you can chew on your heart's content inside of your own cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. But there is. I'll now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Hi! Wait. Your Excellency. Ryunosuke. I don't think you can rule on this case just yet. This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. There is most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes! Yikes. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter. I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, then ruling with case at this time would be out of the question. Oh, he's... Objection! This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag and the young woman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. But there is. You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha, my thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. I only can put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at this photographic print, Inspector. submitted before. You will identify for the court whether this print we see the significant detail which you have eluded.
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say? On the victim's wrist? How did he burn it on a hot plate? Oh no! He didn't die. He died facing the table, which means he was shot across the table. When he, for some reason, he was sitting on the steak plate. When he fell down, that makes no sense. To get a burn like that and not flinch in any way, shape, or form, you'd have to be dead. Or at very minimum, not feeling anything. I go to this one place that is an Okinawa steakhouse, which is in my local city. And when you order steak there, you get it on a very piping hot plate. I'm thinking that this is what this is. Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner has also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death. So he did note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by it. Curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Achi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem that Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and the other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. What? We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe that this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am. If we can just link that burn to the case, we can do that. We might be able to prise the shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to our case, then you would allow it. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed this burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. At time I find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at our time recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have such an unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in the photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
The beef steak. Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate. Ah, yeah. Ah, Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I guess it's some sort of trademark at La Carnival. The emblem on a plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Runosuke, you're a genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But, even if that is the case, we can't know what happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. More likely it happened some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
You're in the title! But don't worry, Shiro. I recorded it, so I'm gonna put this on YouTube just like you did. So, you won't miss a moment. We're in part 3 right now, too. I'm finishing Trial 1 today. And then, sadly, Professor Auchi, and the chances that are extremely slim. We're gonna be doing this every Sunday and Saturday. Next Saturday, if my part comes in, we're building a PC, though. So we'll build a PC and then go for a break and then do this. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. You ready? You ready to steam that long? Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? This is a long case. We're pretty far into it. I feel like we're getting very close to it. But it's only like 250. I'm going to go until I finish the case today. I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But, I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And, although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. Yeah, I was thinking that. It took post-mortem. This case took you 7 hours? Are you serious? 7 hours. We're only like... We're 4 hours in, man. Been investigating the restaurant for several weeks already. I have not heard anyone scream at all. At the head waiter of the carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter. Full serious. Yes. I hate how he says yes. Even though I know he's going, hi. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if a professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds on that day, that would be beyond careless, I think. Counsel. So there's this there's this restaurant in my town called labeled Okinawa Steakhouse, and Okinawa Steak has a wooden plate, and on top of it is a piping hot metal plate, and we have to put on this bib that covers us like this, and if you put your finger on that, you're gonna fucking hurt. Like, it's piping hot. Maybe beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Auchi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? Because he was dead. I almost don't believe it. Runosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe We've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make the sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson... No, he's not... Asleep is an impossibility. You would still wake up from it. Was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from one in particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already? Dead. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Watson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness. Yeah, they still haven't explained why one of the steaks is like half eaten when the other one isn't. Please, counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy of the rookie student. Be clearly has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
The music's pretty good, man. How the fuck did you get that animated? That's cool, though. No, Professor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you gasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from the witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it is highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency, I think she knows Japanese. The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. Oh, I want to see the eyes! The Tell the Truth music is so good. What's that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. She fucking speaks it, I knew it. She was adding on stuff a little early when she was defending herself. You speak Japanese. How else? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country, after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. She just dissed Japanese really hard. Oh my god. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, she's so the villain. Ah, oh well. You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. But we are truly honored by this. The lavish consideration you graciously afford us. He's such a kiss-ass. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting. Lunosuke. Here we go. Unfortunately, I have no idea what the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides a gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyways. Yo, man, he's Ryu. The most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with this coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh. Forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It's a liability to hear you speak, my dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony, Boris talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well then, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. Shut up, Brett, you racist. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination on this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. The one thing annoying me in this game, Shiro, is the constant, hi. You know, even though I know in Japan, when they want to present an answer, they raise their hand and go, hi, like a student would. My students do it. Saying yes seems really weird. And I know it's weird, but I really want them to change it to, hi! The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea where the poor man burnt his wrist like that.
Yes!
But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You couldn't have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry. Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh. What? Haha, what fun. You hadn't realized. The lady is absolutely right. As for your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself. Rude escape. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. His shows honorable silence over a vulgar screen. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain
Yes!
can. Well, I can't. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why you ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table is I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means, bless you. No, it doesn't. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death behind the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhaging from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And there was no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It could only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. Yeah, the Okinawan Steakhouse one cools down after about 10-15. And if the victim burned his wrist on a hot plate as soon as it was brought up from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at the point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to prove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Alchi is right. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I've always aimed for the flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. Oh, my honor, I, Katsuki Achi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspirations. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back this up here. Yes, evidence.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the land of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. The carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. That's fishy. How do you stab someone from the inside? Not to mention, a hemorrhage would leave a lot more blood. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand? Huh, a killer blow. The lady's formidable as she is beautiful. I think I'm on the poison mobile. The actually admitting on our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Achi is starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Runesuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. But if he was poisoned, wouldn't the autopsy say so? No, because we're not dealing with modern-day Japan, man. Like, we're dealing with two people who are very much into medicine, right? The proof is in the glass in her bag. She took the glass and put it in her bag because that glass was her glass. In fact, she saved the evidence. Poison can knock you out, like literally. Bread is racist, though. No, it's not even just that. Why is Kazuma even going overseas? Literally. To investigate the system there. They said at the beginning of the trial that autopsies done in the Western land are done thoroughly. But here, a police officer looks at it and says, yep. What, Adunosuke? There was one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonoga. The detective. Yeah, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If we might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement once more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find it soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that?
Wait.
Yes, there it is again. Detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? How do you change your target? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let out anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's so lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now. Ryunosuke, it's all to do with the witness's marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with the D-pad, you turn your attention to other people in a stand. It's time to do. You'll pursue with A. You can catch a person just at the right time. You might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with... This is new. It's kind of interesting that there's more than one person on the stand.
Wait. Excuse me.
Excuse me. Excuse me, princess. I'm gonna